What's going on, everybody? It's your boy E-Man the Chosen here, and I'm back today with another video. So today we're going to be bringing you guys the Bonk blade, aka the Brawler blade, and oh my god, this is one of the most funnest builds that I've ever used for a Night Blade. This is extremely tanky. It's got great damage and great survivability and insane sustain as well. If I'm being honest, this is probably one of my most tankiest builds. Like, I think this build is even tankier than my Sork or even my DK. So really fun build. So getting straight into it, we have 20 points into health, 44 points in the stam. So I'm going to show you guys a quick glimpse of my stats while I'm unbuffed, of course, just like so. And then I'm going to show you guys a glimpse of my stats while I am buffed. Now, take in mind, like, these stats do go up once some of our sets proc, such as our mythic and like our sets if we get low. So yeah, pretty nice there. Yeah, back bar, pretty nice recoveries as well. Actually more than enough recovery, especially if you pop a pot. As far as our Mundus, we are using the Atro Mundus. I found the Atro Mundus just to fit my playstyle a lot. We are a stage 3 vamp. It's kind of necessary on this build for the survivability, also for the damage, and I'll get into why later. As far as the Munduses, the Atro is a flex spot. You can get away with a little bit lower mag recovery. If you're not going to use the Atro, I recommend either Shadow or the Lover. Alright, so getting into our slottable items. So as far as our pots that we use, the main pot that we use is the regular tri-stat pot that restore all 3 resources. One of the best pots for PvP. And then we also use the Essence of Movability that grants Stealth Attack and restores Magicka. Definitely necessary for PvP. There's a lot of Night Blades running around and stuff like that, so definitely need that. And then as far as the food that we run, we use the Smoked Bear Hunch. You could use Jules Misrule for, you know, cheaper, but I just like that extra bit of recovery you do get and extra bit of health you do get off of the Smoked Bear Hunch, but you could use Jules Misrule. Alright, getting into the sets, we are using the Batishran Small on the front bar. Yes, we're using Sharpen with a Berserker enchant. And honestly, we're kind of using a similar build to what we run on our Sork. We have Essence Thief on the back bar. On the one hand, we have a Shock damage enchant with defending. And then on our sorting board, we have a Sturdy with a max damage enchant. Yeah, Essence Thief is really nice on Nightblade. And then on the body, we are using Pariah. Yes, sir, Pariah. As far as our traits, we're pretty much an all-in pin with a reinforced chest. We are using One Piece Magma for the shoulder, just for those extra recoveries. You don't really need the One Piece recovery. You could go like One Piece weapon and spell damage, or you can do like one piece pin if you like. But I just kind of like that extra recovery, especially for like 1BX scenarios. But yeah, so we have Essence Thief and Pariah on the body. We are in 4 medium, 3 heavy. And then as far as our mythics, yeah, so we have Pariah jewelry as well. As far as our mythic, we're using the Death Dealer's Feet. The Death Dealer's Feet is a flex mythic. You could use Markin if you like, or you can also use Saint Seducer. Saint Seducer is probably like the next best after Death Dealer's Feet. But I just like Death Dealer's Feet so much because you also get sustain out of this, and it's not just one-sided. Like, you're not just getting damage out of it. Like, the Saint Seducer definitely hits harder, but I like Death to the Feet because it gives you better all-around things. So, alright, getting into the skills. The first skill on our bar is Cloak. This skill is a must, especially like even on a Brawler blade. Like, I was testing out the other morph, like the heal morph of the Cloak, but it just wasn't that good. Like, you have to build like 40k health for the heal to be any good. Not only that, like, you need to be standing still to take advantage of the full heal from the heal morph of the Cloak, and there's not a lot of scenarios where you want to be standing still on Nightblade. So, and then, you know, if you build any more health, you start losing damage. Not only that, like, not being able to go in Cloak, you can't take advantage of the 300 weapon damage you get from going into stealth, you get from using vampire. So, and that 300 extra weapon damage really goes a long way, especially like when it comes to killing tankier target. Like, it can literally make or break the build. Even on a Brawler blade, I think that the Cloak is just too good not to use. This skill is also important because this is going to proc Major Resolve for 18 seconds, which is your resistance buff, so definitely necessary. Also, while slotted on either bar, you're getting Major Savagery and Prophecy, so super important skill. Alright, next skill we have here is Camo Hunter. The skill is mostly just slotted for that minor Berserk buff, and also for the 3% weapon and spell damage you get for having it slotted. You can 100% put Reaper's Mark right there, or you could even put Power Extract if you like, you know, a little bit more damage. But honestly, I've been liking Camo Hunter right there the best, just because it's super fast. Like, it actually hits pretty hard with the minor Berserk and to the end cap and to the spec bow. But Reaper's Mark is definitely really good there. You could also use the Fear right there as well. Fear is very slept on. Also procs a super strong debuff with Major Cowardice, which reduces like the opponent's healing and their weapon and spell damage. But I've been liking Camo Hunter right there the best. We are using Rally. Rally is necessary this build to proc our Batishran, because Batishran is going to give us an extra 200 or 300 weapon damage plus a nice little proc. For our spammable, we are using Surprise Attack, one of the best spammables in the game. It's going to proc Sundered, which is a strong debuff, which is like minor breach. This skill also guarantees a crit strike every 3 times you use it, so really good. Then we are using Spec Bow. We're using the Mag Bow. This is like one of the hardest hitting skills in the game. Probably hits harder than most ultimates. So after 5 light attacks, you get the big bow. And this also grants you stacked weapon damage. So stacks 60 weapon damage up to 5 times, which is another 300 weapon damage. So it also gives you a nice little heal when you hit somebody with it. For our ult, we are using End Cap. We're using the weapon damage End Cap that gives you a lot more damage when you use it at 130 ult or more. It glows green. Now, End Cap is a flex spot as far as ults. Like, you 100% use Soul Tether. Like, Soul Tether is really nice, like for group play or if you're fighting like a lot of people. You could also use the other morph of End Cap, which is Soul Harvest. That's the one that gives you ult while slotted if you get killed. It also applies Major Defile as well, but I just think that End Cap is just a better ult because it does disease damage, and most people have less disease resistance. And then that damage buff you get is really nice, and it lasts for 12 seconds, which is crazy. Also, while it's going green, like while you're at 130 ult, it does a stun, which is a really powerful stun. Let's say you can't stun anybody with the off balance from Surprise Attack. It's a really good stun, and also applies a lot of pressure to somebody's they're blocking. On the back bar, we are using Spell Wall, one of the best back bar ults in the game. It's the whole reason I have a sorter board on the back bar. We're using Siphoning Attacks, one of the best sustain skills on Nightblade. Pretty much when you do a lot of attack, you get resources, and then you trade your health for mag and stam, which is kind of crazy. We are using Healing Soul for our burst heal. The way we have described is as a heal, gives us a bit of mag and stam back, and then Major Vitality. This is the best way to describe it. We are using Vigor. It's gonna give you a nice little heal over time, also proc minor resolve. And then we are using this contingency. So we have our contingency scribe as a heal with Gladiator's Tenacity, reduce our damage taken by 8%, and minor protection. This is what makes us a Brawler blade right here. Like, this skill right here, on top of having Pariah, on top of it being a heal, makes you extremely tanky, which I will show you guys in the gameplay. Like, just amount of the sheer like power of that skill, it's kind of crazy. Like, we pair this with Pariah. You can also use this like tankiness to drop a few like defensive CP and put more damage CP, which is kind of how we get a lot of our damage on this build, because you can run like primarily all damage CP. So then we are using Race Against Time. This is like a speed buff and snare removal. Alright, getting straight into the champion points. We're using Fighting Finesse, Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, and the only defense CP you really need is Resilience. Stuff like that. So yeah, 3 damage, 1 defense, because we're so tanky, so we get a lot of our damage through our CP. As far as our red tree, we're using Celerity, Survival Instincts, Pained Refugee, and Sustained by Suffering. The only flex CP I would say is Celerity. You can swap Celerity for either Relentlessness or like fortified, or if you want some more sustain, you could go with rejuvenation. Rejuvenation is another good option as well, but celerity just really good. My playstyle is fast and I like to be speedy in my build, so having this with being orc and having celerity just right up my alley. I can play this build similar to how I play my Sork. So alright, as far as our passes, make sure you pick up all your assassination, shadow, and siphoning passives. They're all important. Make sure you pick up most of your two-handed passives. I mean, if you can get all the passes, you know, get them, but there's some you really don't need. Like this one only affects your two-handed abilities. But yeah, do pick up all of your sword and board passives. Only one you don't really need is the deadly bash. Doesn't really do too much, but I really like sword and board because of these passives here. Like you can actually block more damage than you can with like an ice staff, because you have this block mitigation passive, and then you have this one that blocks additional 14% from range projectiles. So it's really, really good. We do not run any light armor, so don't need light armor passes, but we do run heavy and medium, so try to pick up as many passes as you can in heavy and medium. We are vampire, so this is kind of what I'm talking about in why we use the cloak. So whenever you leave sneak, like see if I use cloak, if you see that little buff right there, looks like a vampire, you get 300 weapon damage. Like that's kind of important. Like 300 weapon damage is like a rallying crop rock. Like that's so good. Like that's kind of why you need cloak on Nightblade to actually do decent damage. Then we have the undeath passive. This is going to reduce your damage taken by 15%. So we have so much mitigation on this build. It's actually insane. Like with Pariah, with the contingency, then vampire, like it's really hard to kill this build. It's really crazy. We are using, and as far as our definitely want to pick up these passes for you know, the Fighter's Guild to do more damage. And then as far as our race, we are an orc. I really like orc on this build. You could use Khajiit if you want to do more crit damage, but orc just fits my playstyle, and I like the, you know, the brawly feel of how this, you know, build feels. The orc is going to give you a lot of speed and a lot of weapon and spell damage, which is really nice and just fits our playstyle. Alright, so now we're going to get into a little bit of the rotation. I'm going to see if I can find some ads over here. So basically, you always want to start on the back bar with your light attack. A lot of times the light attack on the back bar will proc your Essence Thief, and also your back bar glyph, which is the shot glyph. I think the shot glyph is one of the best glyphs to have on a Nightblade. So yeah, once you collect Essence Thief, as you can see, as I was glowing green right there, you just light attack, surprise attack. You pretty much only have two abilities that do damage, like the surprise attack and then the spec bow. And you get the spec bow after 5 light attacks, like you just see right there. Also, always try to hit the enemies from the side to try to proc the off balance and the minor berserk to and then the medium weave to stun the target and stuff like that. So you also want to make sure you're using your contingency to get that extra heal, stuff like that. So with cloak is really cool. The cool part about cloak and then also running rally is that you can pretty much like use your like while you're in cloak, you can pretty much use your rally to heal yourself while you're in cloak, and then get all your resources back through siphoning attacks. So it's really, really nice. So yeah, use the end cap when it's green. It does a lot more damage. Yeah, also be trying to like circle around your target to try to get that up balance and proc minor berserk. But yeah, really, really cool part. Like, see, I'm gonna try to get my health down, stuff like that, and I can pretty much heal, you know, because the heal with rally doesn't break stealth. So it's really, really nice to have rally when you're using this build. And then you can also go in cloak, like true cloak, which you get into that by holding crouch and then untoggling cloak until you see the hidden. And now you're not using your mag anymore. You can just run around like at full speed almost in cloak, which is really, really nice. Another good thing I like to do is use the contingency into a Leeching Strikes resource restore, which is really, really nice. So it's almost like it costs health to heal as well. Like the siphoning into, or the contingency into siphoning is really nice because instead of losing health, you kind of gain health from using it. So really nice combo. You can also use contingency through roll dodge, which is another good skill. So you're getting all that tankiness through roll dodge. You got cloak, you can get your resources back, man. This build is like insanely survivable, man. It's played correctly, of course. It's so fun. One of the most funnest builds I've used for my Nightblade. And all right, that's pretty much going to do it for the build. Let me know if you guys have any further questions in the comments. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. But now we are going to get into some gameplay. All right, peace.
Thank you.